Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Telegraph Herald. More than the score. I am your host Steve Ortman. Alongside me this week, sports editor Jim Leitner. Glad to have you back, Jim. How's it going?
Not too bad. It's actually a very busy month of July for me on the road pretty much every night watching high school baseball tournament games. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of miles on the old car.
Yeah, it must be nice just sitting up, soaking up the sun and watching some baseball on a summer night. You call that work, huh?
Well, there are some nights when we have press boxes that are 120 degrees, so yeah, that's the downside of it. But it is a lot of fun, especially in this area where we have a lot of good quality baseball teams and players.
Yeah, and to kind of culminate the season, Telegraph Herald All-Area Baseball team came out this past weekend. Look at Player of the Year, Jim, player that had a fantastic year for Dubuque-Wahlert.
Yes, Austin Savory was our Player of the Year. He's a senior at Dubuque-Wahlert. He's headed to Winona State. He's actually there already right now to start his college career. You know, he's a guy who had a fantastic senior season. He's a guy who, you know, was not only pitching but playing first base and hitting-wise, he was definitely the leader of the Wahlert baseball team. He was named to the All-State Super Team by the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association. And I think probably one of the most interesting honor that he had was he was named the Player of the Year in the Mississippi Valley Conference Mississippi Division, and that team was absolutely loaded. Of all the guys who made the first team, I think 11 out of the 12 were unanimous first team all conference selections. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of really good quality baseball players, and he was the Player of the Year in that division. So, you know, I think that was a great honor for him. And like I said before, he had a tremendous postseason run. You know, he was really a guy who factored into all of their playoff games and helped get them to the semifinals of the Class 3A state tournament. So, very deserving honor for Austin, and you know, I'm excited to watch him down the road here because at Winona State, that's a great baseball program, Division II program, and you know, I think there's a lot of great things ahead for that young man.
Now, question for you: when you're named to the Super Team, does that come with an honorary cape?
No, it doesn't. But the nice thing about that is, you know, what they do is they take, you know, it's all divisions, so it's not just limited to what division you're in. So you're talking about players from Class 4A, 3A, 2A, and 1A, which is pretty impressive. And you know, he was one of only two players from our area to make that. The other one was Calvin Harris, a freshman catcher at Western Dubuque. He was on the super team as well. So no capes, but definitely a big honor to be on that team. Absolutely.
Now I know you're compiling a lot of numbers. Lots of things to go through. What other players really stood out to you on the all-area first team?
There were a lot of teams that really had a great year this year. You know, Dyersville-Beckman, they go and they win the Class 2A state tournament. They had 5 guys on our all-area baseball team, and deservedly so. You know, I look at guys like, you know, Jackson Bennett was a great pitcher and hitter throughout the tournament series. We also had Riley LeGrand, who was 12 for 20 in the postseason for Dyersville-Beckman. And he's a guy who missed the last 5 games of the regular season because he had an accident and cut his finger open. Actually, you know, then he came back and helped out at the Telegraph Herald.
Wasn't bad at taking phone calls
so, yeah,
to TH.
Taking complaint phone calls for you. He did a very nice job with that. But he was 12 for 20 in the postseason, you know, really a key for them. They also had C.J. McDermott, who was a great pitcher for Beckman. He made our first team. Sam Stelkin, Joel Vasky also made our first team. So Beckman had 5 guys on our first team. And Western Dubuque, which won the WAMAC conference, also had 4 players on the first team. You know, and they had a record-breaking year out there. Max Steffen led the state in stolen bases and hits in Class 4A. He had a tremendous breakout year. Calvin Harris, as we mentioned before, he was a guy who led the state in Class 4A in RBIs as a freshman. And, you know, we also had Gregory Bennett, who was a tremendous offensive player, and he did a great job pitching for the Bobcats, and Dylan Gatto as well, who was a great left-handed pitcher for the Bobcats. So, you know, those are the 2 teams that really dominated the first team for us.
Yeah, and now when you look at Coach of the Year, certainly capped a wild ride there for Fred Martin this year.
Yeah, Fred Martin is coach at Dyersville-Beckman, and this was really a difficult year for him. He'd been an assistant coach at Beckman for 15 years, working for Tom Jenk Jr. Those two guys are great friends. They're almost like they almost know what they're almost like an old married couple because they can complete each other's sentences. You know, they know exactly what each other is going to do. But Tom he was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer in December, and Fred kind of stepped in and took the role. But he was very reluctant to do it. He was kind of reluctant to do it because he didn't want to step in. He didn't want to take the shoes of Tom Jenk Jr. I don't think anybody really could. But he had a great group effort. All three of his assistants did a great job of helping him out. And, they won a state championship under trying circumstances. So it was a remarkable year for Fred and his staff.
All right. Well, I think with all area baseball in the books, I think we've finally put a bow on the summer sports season. No rest for the weary, though, folks. This Friday night, football is underway in the Tri-States in Wisconsin. We're going to have a couple of nice matchups going on. Cuba City Platteville meets up in the season opener, and as far as teams in the area, you can't go wrong with the Cuba City Platteville matchup.
No, you can't, and that's the nice thing. You jump right into the fire. With the high school football, we have Six Rivers Jamboree is this weekend as well. See a lot of good matchups there. So didn't get much of a vacation time for the sports department, but we're going to be ready to go on Friday night. Yep,
Wisconsin kind of gives us a light start with football, then Iowa and Illinois join the fray next Friday night, and we'll be fully underway and under the swing of things here for the fall. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Telegraph Herald More in the Score. I'm your host, Steve Ortman. He's Jim Leitner, and we'll see you next week.